On-time delivery begins with clear communication in today's world, where every supply chain from business to education relies on timing. On-time delivery is no longer a bonus, it's a baseline.
Yet surprisingly, many delays stem not from lack of skill, but from unclear communication.
We often blame delay on lack of time, but more often it begins with misunderstanding, vague messages, or passive listening.
So how can timely delivery become a culture rather than a deadline?
The answer lies not in pressure, but in cultivating clarity in everyday communication. On-time delivery doesn't begin with action, it begins with shared understanding from the start.
Every minute spent clarifying at the start saves hours of fixing at the end.
On-time delivery doesn't begin with a flawless plan, it begins with mutual understanding.
Even the most detailed roadmap will collapse if the team lacks shared clarity on goals, deadlines, and quality standards. Clear communication is not simply transmitting data, it is an ethical act where the speaker aims not to say enough, but to say precisely.
In many organizations, delays stem from seemingly harmless phrases. Someone will probably handle that. We'll adjust if needed. Or let's do it like last time.
These phrases plant the seeds of vagueness, and vagueness is the worst enemy of timeliness. High-performing teams are not always the most skilled, they are the clearest with one another. Therefore, skills like presenting, writing effective emails, and interpreting briefs are no longer soft skills. They are core competencies for project execution. Clarity is the first step toward making timeliness achievable.
Many organizations invest in project management tools, but fail to invest in how people speak to each other. The irony is that a clearly set deadline in a system doesn't ensure accurate execution if the kickoff meeting was vague.
We live in an age of speed, yet rarely make time to clarify before we act. A minute spent on confirming mutual understanding can save hours of error correction. This isn't a technical issue, it's a matter of trust.
A speaker who communicates clearly offers psychological safety. I know what I'm doing, and so do you.
That sense of safety is the true foundation of sustainable timelines, not constant oversight. In modern organizational culture, punctual delivery cannot be enforced by pressure, it must be nurtured through clarity, transparency, and dialogue.
On-time delivery is not just a metric of productivity, it's a reflection of a culture of respect.
When someone delivers late, they don't just delay a process, they unintentionally fracture the trust of those relying on them.
In professional environments, people don't meet deadlines out of fear, but out of honoring their word.
And that respect for others' time begins with respect in how we speak.
A clear plan, a specific email, an unambiguous announcement, these are all signs of a mature communication culture.
Clarity doesn't make work faster, but it helps everyone start correctly. And from that shared starting point, timelines unfold smoothly without coercion.
Punctuality is not a product of pressure, it is the result of mutual understanding built through honest, simple, and consistent language. One of the most common causes of missed deadlines is the silent assumption. We assume others understand things the same way we do, that deadlines are a bit flexible, or that they'll do it even if we don't remind them.
But these unspoken assumptions create invisible gaps between expectation and execution. Clarity is never excessive. It not only conveys content, but verifies mental alignment. Clear communication is the only way to ensure everyone is following the same roadmap instead of just thinking they are.
When each person carries a different map, getting lost is inevitable. In complex work environments, clarity is the ability to make understanding visible so knowledge doesn't vanish in silence, and timelines don't die from misunderstanding.
No one wants to be late, but many don't realize they are unintentionally contributing to delay.
This happens when we give vague instructions, fail to respond promptly, or neglect to check on assigned tasks.
Communication is a chain of reactions, and delay rarely stems from a single act, it usually arises from a series of small, disconnected links.
Each time we think, I'll say it later, or they probably got it, or it's not urgent yet, we add latency to the system.
Conversely, a timely reminder, a short confirmation, or a clear email can shift the entire timeline forward. Timeliness is the result of the smallest acts done consistently and with awareness.
This is where communication becomes a collective responsibility, not just an individual skill. In global and multicultural environments, on time is not only a matter of hours, it is a matter of culture. In some cultures, early is respectful. In others, punctuality is the norm, while others are more flexible with time but value quality deeply.
Therefore, Clear communication from the outset clarifies not only what and when, but by whose standards. A kickoff meeting that openly sets expectations helps prevent delays and builds intercultural alignment.
Time perceptions may differ, but it's ambiguity that leads to breakdowns. Clear communicators don't have to match their audience. They need to be transparent about intent. And from that clarity, a sustainable timeline ecosystem emerges, where diversity becomes an asset, not a barrier. Timeliness is the result of a chain of ethical actions, not just time management techniques.
A clear-minded worker doesn't just ask, "What do I need to do?" They ask, "How can I avoid becoming someone else's delay?" That second question reflects a systems mindset where deadlines are no longer individual burdens, but shared commitments. In complex, interdependent workflows, the most valuable contributors are not the fastest but those who create the fewest bottlenecks for others. Clear communication is the method to remove those bottlenecks from the beginning by clarifying roles, timing, expectations, and boundaries. A culture of punctuality isn't built on deadlines, it's built on the ethics of communication. Practice daily.
Timeliness is not a technical habit, it's a life choice.
It starts with how we write an email, ask a question, or respond to a message.
Every act of clear communication lays a brick between intent and execution.
When we speak clearly, we don't just help others understand, we empower them to begin, adjust, and complete. And in a world constantly rushing, delivering on time doesn't just create productivity, it builds trust.
If you believe every sustainable timeline begins with a clear conversation, share this message.
Spread a culture of transparent communication for a world that works better, more kindly, and more reliably.
Subscribe, share, and help build a life of timeliness, starting with how we speak.